Thank you so much for joining us. And right now it's time for Words of Wisdom. And Mr. Veli Ndaba is joining us on the line, motivational speaker, author, entrepreneur, life and business coach. And he's going to talk about, do you know what is holding you back from living your dreams? And voila, I expected him on the phone and full body appears. Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for coming through, Mr. Ndaba. Are we talking about what is holding us back from achieving our dreams? Good afternoon. Please make sure the mic is closer.
Good afternoon, Criselda, and good afternoon to all the wonderful listeners. Yes, we're talking about 3 steps here that will actually help you to put your life where you want to have it. So it's very important to understand the 3 things. And number 1, you have to stop complaining and take full responsibility over your life. And why am I saying that? You know, when you stop complaining and focus on finding a solution, your life becomes better because you become better focused. I'm just reminded of a story here of a certain professor who was standing in front of his classroom, and he was talking to these students, and he shared a joke with them, and everybody laughed. You know, they just cracked up. And then he continued doing what he was doing. Then he shared it for a second time. Then this time around, half the class laughed. And then he continued doing what he was doing. And the third time, he shared this joke, and nobody laughed. And it was he just looked at them, and he said, you know what, it's just so funny that when you share something that's exciting, that will make you laugh, you stop laughing. You stop laughing. But if you are listening at something that you don't like, you keep on complaining about it over and over again. Why don't you stop complaining and say, no, I'm not going to complain, I'm going to do something about it.
That's it.
So it simply means that, you know, when you stop complaining and focus on what matters in life, you become focused because you want to find the solution. So when you accept responsibility, you know, people who are willing to take credit for when they win, they are also able to take credit for when they lose. Because if you do that, it simply means that you're saying, I didn't do it because of something I didn't do. So going forward, I'm going to take full responsibility. That's number 1. So stop complaining and accept full responsibility. And then number 2, there's a skill that you have to develop, which is a thinking skill. And you need to learn how to think. And when I talk about thinking, I'm not just talking about locking yourself up inside the room and just daydream, but I'm talking about asking yourself powerful questions. You know, there's a guy, Henry Ford, who said, thinking is a difficult skill there is. That's why few people engage in it. So that's something that, and that's a reason why, because when you look at this, it's something that is so exciting, because when you're thinking about, for an example, you're asking yourself a question, why am I not having money? It's easy to make excuses, to find reasons.
Yeah.
But if you ask a question and say, how can I make more money?
Yeah.
Now, that is thinking. So thinking comes from you asking yourself powerful questions, because when you ask yourself lousy questions, you get lousy answers. So think about, how can I do it? For an example, you get inside the room and it's dark. You may choose to complain the whole night. Oh, it's so dark in here. You know, Eskom, I paid my bills, but look at this. But if you just focus on finding the solution, switch the light, find the candle and do something about it. Now that is actually thinking, and that is focusing on the solution. And then the third step that I'm talking about here is the step of now saying, now I've identified that I'm a person of value, that I'm not going to look for excuses. I'm going to take full responsibility. And thirdly, I'm going to take a very massive and persistent action. It means now I'm the person that will look at what needs to happen and then focus on this thing that I need to do and then take responsibility. So when something goes wrong, I just look at what I could have done wrong, instead of just focusing on blaming people and say, yeah, no, you know, I didn't do it because of this person. I didn't do it because of this person. But focus on what you have to do and be massive on that one, and be persistent as well, because when you look around, people always look at the lack of resources. It's actually the lack of resourcefulness that is a problem.
Ouch.
And people always look at the stories and you are told how to change your story. You can never change your story, but you can only change the context of your story. You can change the interpretation of what happened. For an example, when I look at myself, I lost my parents earlier on in life, and some people who went through the same situation as mine, every day they are complaining, I grew up as an orphan. What else could I have done in my life? Because I didn't have parents. But I said to myself, it means maybe I'm the one who was supposed to go. But my parents took a flag for me. And I'm here now to make them proud, whoever they are. You see, that's a different kind of thinking now. So I say to myself every day when I show up, I say, I want to make them proud. And I'm doing this because it's a good thing to do. This is a sure sign of self-respect and self-love. People who love themselves and who respect themselves don't spend time complaining.
Especially about other people.
Griselda. It's about looking at what can you do differently. How can you make your life different and of value so that you become a good example and be a witness of a great life that was well lived.
Because you are part of a global citizenry. You are not alone.
Yeah, you become a person of fortitude.
There you go. There you go. Let's fortify this.
Yes, let's fortify this.
Thank you. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Ndaba. That is Mr. Veli Ndaba, motivational speaker, author, entrepreneur, life and business coach, as we were looking at what's holding you back from living your dreams. You've been looking at that car, a dream car, that double-story physical address, and complaining about others having this. You too can have it. Just identify what are the things that are holding you back. And that was words of wisdom. And